Hamas has once again declared that weapons are a red line that cannot be compromised as long as Israel continues its occupation of Gaza and suppresses the lives of the Palestinian people. This bold statement dealt a heavy blow to hopes of internal reconciliation in Palestine that had begun to resurface ahead of the United Nations General Assembly. The rejection was aimed directly at Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who called on Hamas to surrender its weapons in order to pave the way for a unified government under the Palestinian Authority. But Hamas accused Abbas of surrendering Palestinian sovereignty to foreign agendas. Hamas, the political faction and military power ruling Gaza, insisted that its weapons are both a symbol of resistance and a tool to protect the rights of the Palestinian people. The group stressed it would never bow to demands that restrict resistance against Israel. In a strongly worded statement, Hamas blasted Abbas' remarks delivered via recorded video at the two-state solution summit held ahead of the UN General Assembly. For Hamas, the call to hand over weapons is no less than opening the door for Israel to dominate Gaza without resistance. And here comes the controversial question: was Abbas' appeal truly for the interests of the Palestinian people, or was it more about his own political image in the eyes of the West? The Al-Qassam brigades, Hamas' military wing, reaffirmed that armed resistance is a legitimate component of the Palestinian struggle. According to them, relinquishing weapons would mean betraying the martyrs who sacrificed their lives defending their homeland. Hamas went further, accusing Mahmoud Abbas of a gross violation of Palestinian rights. They argued that his statement excluding Hamas from governance was nothing more than blind obedience to international pressure. We firmly reject the notion that Hamas has no place in governance. This is a violation of the Palestinian people's fundamental right to determine their own destiny, Hamas declared in its official statement. The group also charged that Abbas' stance was part of an external scheme designed to weaken Palestinian resistance. They accused him of submitting to foreign dictates that serve Israel and its allies rather than the Palestinian people. Here lies a sharper question: can Abbas still be seen as a legitimate leader of the Palestinian people if he chooses to sideline the very faction that has become a symbol of resistance against Israel? Meanwhile, Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar seized the moment to deliver scathing remarks. He accused Abbas of merely crafting sweet words to please the West, while failing to fight terrorism on the ground. Sa'ar mockingly reminded the world that in 2007, Abbas allegedly handed over Gaza to Hamas without much resistance. Now he says he's ready to take it back. How noble of him, Sa'ar sneered in a post on X. Sa'ar's jab added more fuel to the already complex Palestinian political crisis. Hamas refuses to yield, Israel continues its pressure, and Abbas is caught in the middle, trying to appease the international community while calming domestic tensions. Still, many analysts believe Hamas' latest statement is not just rhetoric. It reflects a genuine hardening of their stance. Gaza will not surrender armed resistance, no matter how much the world demands it. This sparks another explosive question: is Palestine doomed to remain fractured by internal conflict, or is this division actually a strategic advantage for Israel, which has long sought to weaken its opponents from within? On the ground, it is the Palestinian people who pay the heaviest price for these divisions. In Gaza, Israel's blockade continues to strangle daily life, limiting access to healthcare, education, and even the most basic supplies. Hamas insists that as long as Israel occupies and oppresses, weapons will remain in their hands. For them, it is not just a political declaration, but a promise to uphold the morale of a population living under suffocating siege. Abbas, however, appears to be playing a different game. By calling for disarmament, he envisions a single governing authority more palatable to the international community. Hamas dismissed this as a miscalculated political gamble. The conflict once again highlights the deep rift between Gaza and the West Bank. Abbas is based in Ramallah, while Hamas holds full control of Gaza. The two entities often seem more intent on battling each other than uniting against Israel. So, the burning question arises: is Israel truly the main obstacle for Palestinians, or is their greatest enemy the endless internal divisions? National reconciliation efforts have been attempted repeatedly, only to collapse each time. The sticking points are always the same: weapons, political legitimacy, and foreign influence in peace processes. For Hamas, giving up arms means forfeiting their trump card against Israel. Without military power, Gaza would be left exposed and defenseless. Abbas, on the other hand, seems fixated on diplomacy. He wants the world to see Palestine as a state in waiting, governed by a disciplined authority ready for international recognition. But critics argue this vision is counterproductive. Hamas believes diplomacy alone will never suffice against Israel, which continues expanding settlements in the West Bank while maintaining its chokehold on Gaza. This leads to another biting question: is there really a middle ground between Abbas' diplomacy and Hamas' armed struggle, or are the two paths destined to remain irreconcilable? Israel, unsurprisingly, exploits these internal rifts. With two Palestinian factions at each other's throats, Israel strengthens its case that Palestinians are too divided to form a viable state. Meanwhile, ordinary Palestinians remain trapped between two poles of leadership. They are forced to choose between diplomacy that may never deliver results, and armed struggle that perpetuates suffering. International support is similarly divided. The West leans toward Abbas' diplomatic approach, while parts of the Arab world and global resistance movements continue to sympathize with Hamas. This fractured landscape only pushes the two-state solution further out of reach. Many are beginning to doubt whether the concept is even relevant anymore, given the harsh realities on the ground. So, here comes a provocative question. Is the two-state solution just a political illusion, maintained for diplomatic purposes while the conflict itself refuses to fade? Hamas clings tightly to the narrative of resistance. They say weapons are not only tools of war, but also symbols of Palestinian existence and refusal to bow to occupation. Abbas, meanwhile, continues to seek international sympathy. With his speeches, he tries to present Palestine as a trustworthy partner in global diplomacy. Yet without internal unity, Abbas' words remain fragile. The international community may listen, but the Palestinian people themselves are divided in their response to his leadership. Israel, of course, benefits from this ongoing disunity. With Abbas and Hamas too busy undermining each other, Israel gains the space to entrench its hold on occupied lands. History may eventually ask, will Abbas be remembered as the leader who tried to save Palestine through diplomacy, or as the one who weakened the struggle by disarming his people? And Hamas, will they be remembered as the steadfast defenders of resistance, or as the faction that prolonged Palestinian suffering in order to cling to their weapons? These questions ensure that the Palestinian issue never truly fades. Between diplomacy and resistance, between Ramallah and Gaza, between Abbas and Hamas, the conflict rolls on, without any sign of a final chapter.